Three, two, one, and we're online. Hi, my name is Alanani, and I'm a business consultant in Switzerland. I've been working with startup companies for over 12 years, and today, what we will discuss in this podcast sort of thing is understanding artificial intelligence. Now, what I did is that I studied back in the day software engineering, which clarifies the basics of artificial intelligence. Now, a lot of people are freaked out about what artificial intelligence is as a concept and the fact that it could lead to extinction, with scientists like Stephen Hawking and others supporting this notion. The idea at the moment of artificial intelligence is it's just pieces and bits of code. It's really not that big of a deal. Having studied the basics of it, you ought to know that the difference between artificial intelligence and simple lines of code is almost non existent. If you tell a code of a game, for example, to do this if the player does that, and do that if the player does this, this is not artificial intelligence because it's simply if this happens, that happens. But if you built in something called machine learning, which indicates that the machine does what the machine does is based on what it knows and what it should learn from. It's a bit of a complex topic, but at the end of the day, if you implement this, if you don't know what the next thing the machine is going to do is, this is the basics of artificial intelligence. Still, it needs your programming, it needs your coding, so it's still bits and lines of pieces. So it's nothing to be worried about in general. Of course, we are also bits and pieces, and we are causing massive destruction to the world. So that's why people like Elon Musk, like Stephen Hawking, and others wrote a pledge, I believe, something around Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk pledge. The open letter on artificial intelligence of 2015 that they said, along with other artificial intelligence expert, I believe Reid Hoffman as well, the founder of LinkedIn, was there somewhere. I'm not sure. The letter affirmed that the society can get great benefits from artificial intelligence, but calls for concrete research on how to prevent certain potential pitfalls, as Wikipedia says. And the truth is, yes, it continues to say that artificial intelligence has the potential to eradicate disease and poverty, but it could create something unsafe, which, according to our knowledge of human beings, we are pretty much destined to do. Almost every technology that was designed for something good was used for protection as a protective instinct, and hence used for destructive options as well. So there is no arguing whether AI is going to be used for evil or not, but regulation is key, and that's what this letter and that's what these people are hoping that this would happen, that they would know how to regulate it, similar to how nuclear energy is dealt with these days. But of course, that is not even dealt in a proper way or as the proper way that it should have been. So, and additionally, the resources to build artificial intelligence is not the same as nuclear energy, because anyone could work right now on building AI codes. The resources, particularly NVIDIA, that's why it's becoming the most valuable company in the world, because it does have the fuel. If artificial intelligence is nuclear energy, then NVIDIA is Taiwan in this sense. It is what releases the things that help with artificial intelligence. Taiwan is a bad example because Taiwan actually helps in releasing microprocessors and semiconductors, so it's actually coherent with NVIDIA. But in this sense, you get the point. The point is, artificial intelligence doesn't have to be dangerous unless used in a certain way, which will be eventually, and that's why people are worried. Yet, all of that to be mentioned on a side, we're still on a very, very early stage. Now, how is ChatGPT or GPT related to all of that? The basics of artificial intelligence, in order to know whether a machine is actually artificially intelligent or not, is something called the Turing test. And the Turing test is simply, if you want to make it on a simple note, it's similar to movies, I believe, like a movie called Her, which indicates that the Turing test is passed the moment you are speaking to someone like me right now. You know that I'm a person, but if I'm actually an artificial intelligent model and I'm not an actual person, that makes me pass the test if you actually believe that I'm human. Lucky for you, I am human. And GPT didn't really. Some say it is closing in on solving the Turing test or bypassing the Turing test, but there is nothing that proves that it is resolving it in this sense right now. Any sort of tool released by GPT, especially voice, are good, but you can still determine that it is an artificial intelligence model. But the problem is, back in the days before GPT's launch, they were not close to passing the average, or they scored very badly on the Turing test. Nowadays with GPT, they actually scored a lot better. So they are close to passing this Turing test. And honestly, when you really think about how fast they're growing their models, it's not off the table that they would actually pass the Turing test. They could pass the Turing test, and you could be speaking to someone like me not knowing whether they're human or they're artificial intelligence. And that's what worried people, like people in the open letter as well, and a lot of people in the world, because if you're not knowing whether you're speaking to a human or an artificial intelligence model, then simply put, most humans could be replaceable. And that's why companies are laying off a lot of people in the tech world simply because, simply because they could replace them by artificial intelligence. A website called layoffs.fyi shows how many companies are laying off employees, tech companies in specific, each year. Now, this is not really directly related to artificial intelligence, but there is a correlation between it and AI. 2024 has 143,000 people, which is not that huge. The problem comes in 2023, which has 250,000 people, 264,000 people were laid off by companies. And 2022, there were around 165,000 people who got laid off. Now, the numbers are not that huge compared to the average, but the fact that there is a correlation between the launch of GPT and companies that are eradicating entire departments because they're replacing them with artificial intelligence, which kind of makes sense. We are worried because it makes sense. You look at GPT, you try using it, and you realize it's not that bad. It could do things that are average per se. So when an average employee comes to work for a company that you worked on, why would you accept this average employee compared to what GPT can do? The threshold or the benchmark of hiring is increasing. And that is the problem that we're going through. The problem is going to occur in the generations that we're living in right now. You don't have to worry about people who were just born right now, because they are going to be learning new different set of skills. They're going to be learning how to use their creative mindset and to use artificial intelligence in a way that supports them. The problem are going to be us. We're going to be the generation of people who never used a phone, for example, and just looked at the phone for a first time. This is what's happening right now, and this is why most of the people in the world are freaked out. Now, in this episode, we're discussing 3 companies that build products that I believe are going to be part of this artificial intelligence, human robotic world. Now, those 3 companies are, some would say cool and some would say scary, but at the end of the day, they're the strongest use cases from my business experience when it comes to artificial intelligence. The first case of a company is called Figure.ai. In case you don't know this company, it has raised quite a good sum of money, and it made around $854 million of funding. And it's from the US. Now, there's nothing special about this company except of the fact that they have a robot that moves in a way that is a little bit weird to some people. Some people say that it looked like it needs to go to the toilet, which is, in my opinion, a little bit true. The thing about Figure.ai is that it connects GPT, which simply put makes it makes it quite the case, as you've tried GPT voice before and you've seen how it could work. Now, putting GPT voice, the advanced mode, in a robot is scary. If you're not really aware of how big Figure.ai could become, I suggest you open their YouTube page and look at the video called Figure Status Update OpenAI Speech to Speech Reasoning. The crazy part about this video is that the person there, I mean, I'm not sure if it's faked or not. I'm sure there is a bit of reality to it. It's asking the Figure robot what are the things in front of it is, and then it would say things like apple, things like cup, things like plate. And the truth is, if you do, this is believable, because if you ask GPT right now what this picture includes, it will say that it includes apples, bananas, whatever is in front of it. Now, the crazy part about Figure.ai is that they're not focusing on the software at all. They're focusing and they're betting on the fact that GPT is going to keep on advancing, and they're just giving it hands and legs. That's it. Eyes, hands, and legs. And this creates a sort of machine that is now just being born, and instead of it being taught by a school, it's being taught by OpenAI, which is already growing like crazy. So if you look at how this company is working on their robots, the robots don't look good at the moment. In my opinion, they look okay. They're going to get a lot better, but they could do basic functionalities. Very similar to Tesla's Optimus, I believe. And I feel like they're two sides of the same coin. The only difference is Tesla's Optimus is really reliant on artificial intelligence software that, in my opinion, is not as good as the one that is GPT. If they sort of one day make peace with GPT and put it into their machines, then they have a chance. But that's never going to happen as long as Elon Musk is there, and that gives Figure.ai the better mind, while I would bet that Optimus will definitely have the better body, because they're very good when it comes to robotics, or they're just good when it comes to the robotics, compared to Figure, because it's a startup at the end of the day. They're both striking deals with companies that would use these robots in manufacturing facilities. Now, you might think that having a robot is cool. Having a robot that is ChatGPT is cool. You could ask it to go make you a coffee or something. But when it comes to the business world, the real challenge is using it in an infrastructure like a big factory of cars. And this is what they intend to sell. And this is what they're already starting to implement. I believe I saw on their website them being there on some factories of car companies. I'm not sure whether it was BMW or so, but the fact that it's already starting to carry things, to move things, again, it's going to do it slower, it's going to do it worse, but in time, even if anything happens to it in a very delicate construction site where people could get hurt, then it's going to get a priority for people to send a figure rather than send a human being, which makes it the perfect product market fit. It fits in the market very, very well. We didn't know we need this as much, and they are releasing it in a very strong way. So I would say Figure.ai and Tesla Optimus, these two companies will have the two figures of humanoid robots that you're going to see in the streets and that are going to be a huge part of the future. Everywhere you go, you're going to be seeing them. Slowly, you're going to see them in coffee shops. Next thing you know, they're going to be drivers. They don't actually have to be drivers because Robotaxi can do it. But it is a good transition from having just a robot to control everything to having a robot that looks like a human being to control things. So that's why this is the first case of companies that you should really look into when it comes to the future. Second company that I would say is also a little bit, I wouldn't say worrying, but I would say that it has the potential of controlling a huge part of the artificial intelligence market, and that company is Perplexity. Perplexity is not that good. In my opinion, Perplexity is not that good when it comes to a search engine at all. I used it a few times, and I'm not really convinced of it as a product. but it is the most advanced that exists in the market nowadays. Search GPT is also released. I still think Perplexity has a little bit of an edge because they've been in the market for a bit longer and they're a little bit better than GPT in this sense, Search GPT. The truth is, Google has built an empire out of the simple function that you do, which is search. When you simply search for things, Google has made billions and billions out of that because we are curious human beings. So we're always going to be asking questions. This is the basics of any human being. They always ask questions. What is that? How did that turn out to be like that? And our robots like Figure or like Tesla Humanoid might have the answers, but sometimes they're not going to be trained to know the real-time data, and in that sense, they're going to need to search the internet. Searching is something we're always going to be doing. We've been reading, we've been writing, and searching is the next thing that we always have to do. And that's why Perplexity is in a market that is evolving at this stage. I wouldn't say I'm worried about Google, but Google has a big shoes to fill when it comes to artificial intelligence and search, and they're not doing a very good job. Anything like Gemini, like whatever their search functions are at the moment, are not built for artificial intelligence. They're not. Google is a Web 2 platform, and it is designed so that it would end one day. And this day is going to come sooner or later. They know that. And that's why when they launched GPT, there was a red alert from Google that shows that it is kind of worrying. And Google's code red alert in response to OpenAI's rising popularity is really on spot. The truth is, they should be worried. It could replace them. Not right now. Right now, you're still going to be using Google. Don't think of this conversation right now. Think of it in the next 10 years, 15 years, when artificial intelligence has data that is better than the data written by humans. Anything you search on these days on the web relies on search engine optimization. I have blogs that are on the top page of Google, and I wrote it myself, which I understand that it's just based on quality, but the truth is it's based on your it's not really based, it is based on quality, but mostly if you know how to do search engine optimizations properly, then you're not really going to you don't care about releasing good quality content. You could write anything about avocados, whether they're right or wrong, and they're going to be spread into the first page of Google. And that's particularly the problem of Google as a business model. Perplexity did not resolve that at the moment, but adding to machine learning, reasoning with whether avocados are really harmful for you or not, this reasoning aspect is what artificial intelligence is all about, and is what gives Perplexity or a similar company the edge over Google. And that's the second case. Now, the third case of companies that I believe are going to be a huge part of the future is related to the media and the entertainment industry. You watch movies, you watch Netflix, and you see how Netflix is increasing in popularity over the years. If you look at their valuation or their stock pricing over the year, it's just crazy. And their number of users as well, and their revenue as well, it's all just incredibly, it's increasing every year in a way that we're not imagining. And the truth is, people like to watch. People ask questions, and they like to use their eyes in witnessing what's happening in this world, especially things that are imaginative. You have a routine. A lot of people are getting into routines where they work a 9 to 5, and then they want to see something else other than the workplace, other than all of that. And the only place to find this, or the easiest place to find this, is through websites like Netflix or through the internet. So the media and the entertainment industry has a huge part of this. And giving how artificial intelligence could actually change the reality or generate content in the area of media and the entertainment industry, you're going to see that companies like OpenAI, I would say there is in case you're unaware, OpenAI has a product called Sora, I believe. and this product is creating video from text. And the video, if you actually look at some of their videos, they're quite fascinating and realistic. There are some faults if you really look deep into the videos. Faces are blurred because they know that it takes a lot of computing power to actually generate something that is of good quality, and like very small details. But don't focus on the quality right here. Focus on what you're looking in front of you. You're looking at a video that was created from scratch using lines of code and using text. So imagine the new era of entertainment that comes with the fact that I would say, I'm in the mood to watch something on Netflix. I don't know what I want to watch. Or, why don't I watch something I would love to watch, for example, something funny? I would like people to joke about giraffes, for example. The fact that you can create content by just talking to a machine or by writing a prompt makes the media and entertainment industry totally different. You're not going to need a director. You're not going to need an actor. You're not going to need a movie. You're going to need to watch something that is instantly generated, which puts the industry again to a whole new level. And that's why I'm betting that those companies, OpenAI, Sora, or there is another company called Pika, but it's early stage, and I'm not sure if it would be great. But it does have a few things here and there that would make it look interesting. Pika.art, this company does exactly what Sora is doing. At the moment, they have a lot of bugs. I tried their software a few times, and they're not what I would say creating Martin Scorsese sort of movies, because it takes a lot of computing power as well. And it still needs a director. But when a director thinks of directing a movie, for instance, would they think of the budget involved in creating a huge film and time involved, the years it takes to create a movie? Or would they just put their vision in text or in writing, or talk to a machine about the idea of this movie and then see early stage viewings of the movie using artificial intelligence tools? And the scary part about it is they could actually use these tools to imagine actors that could be in the movie. So if Martin Scorsese is using an AI tool that would imagine his next movie, and he would tell the machine, put DiCaprio as the star of the movie. I want it similar to Titanic, but in space, and blah blah blah. If he keeps talking, this could generate a movie from an artificial intelligence tool. This builds an entirely new, different media industry. And I am betting you're going to start seeing it in short form videos, things like TikTok. I've worked with a few companies that are already working on this, which is sort of what you do on Instagram or TikTok, is just keep surfing through videos. Now imagine if you have an Instagram for artificial intelligence videos. The idea sounds repulsive in general. Why would you look at a platform that has AI videos? It's not real. It's pointless. But once you actually, I actually tested a few of those platforms to see the concept of it. And when I tested it, it builds intrigue. Most of the things on Instagram or on TikTok are things that you would anticipate. Someone doing a dance, or someone cooking a meal of some sort, or a very cute animal. But you don't know what's going on in this artificial intelligence platform. You have no idea what you're going to see. And this is what you're looking for on Instagram or on TikTok when you're just surfing, like, what's going to happen next? You don't know what's going to happen. So this is quite curious, builds curiosity. And these are the most interesting videos on those social media platforms. So if you put artificial intelligence as well in a way that it would generate just instant videos and just populate the internet with it, I'm sure you're going to see such a platform growing in the upcoming years, but eventually leading to long form content that actually has a story. And when you have delivered a perfect story using artificial intelligence, this is when you can start worrying about all the entertainment industry when it comes to videos. I've been reading a book about the founder of Pixar and how they reinvented the animation world or the computer graphics world with movies like Toy Story. And before then, it was an absolutely different way of thinking of these movies and how they became very successful in this sense. This is gonna be different because it's gonna be much bigger, as it's also releasing some people's jobs, or I wouldn't say laying off some people's jobs, but reforming some people's jobs into things like prompt engineering. And this is what I believe is going to be a huge hit when it comes to work in the upcoming 10 years or so. So we are in an AI bubble. That's the summarizing all of that. We are in an AI bubble, whether you believe it or not. And we don't know whether it's going to burst or not. Now, the internet bubble, it was forecasted to burst because there's so much the internet can do. At the end of the day, the internet is a tool that we can use. Artificial intelligence, we don't know its capabilities, so we don't know how big of a bubble it could become. But we do know that at this stage, we have companies that are going to be the Apple, the Amazon, the Tesla. Similar to how Amazon started e-commerce in the internet world, there are companies right now building their fingerprints in the artificial intelligence market. In my opinion, Figure.ai is building in the robotics sector, Perplexity in the search engine, Pika.art or OpenAI Sora in the media and entertainment industry. And you can think about it in a good way, you can think about it in a bad way, you can be pessimistic, you can be optimistic, but the truth is, it's time to start learning how to deal with artificial intelligence. This is really the core that you should get from all these case studies. You could be objecting to artificial intelligence because you're scared. You could be objecting to it because you think humans can do better. I don't object with you in this sense, and even artificial intelligence won't object with you in this sense because the statement is wrong. Artificial intelligence is not better than humans, but it can outperform the average human in a lot of tasks. And as long as you start accepting and acknowledging this fact, you are going to have to do average tasks. You're going to have to deal with average tasks. Most of our tasks are average in the day. We wake up, we have breakfast, we drink coffee, we commute to work. All these are recurring tasks that are perfected by artificial intelligence. And knowing that, there is no argument that artificial intelligence belongs to the future, and it's now starting to be part of everything we do. So you could have a positive mentality about this, or you could have a negative mentality about this. This is absolutely your choice. But educate yourself. I would say buy a few books. I've read at least 5 artificial intelligence books to know what's going on, but the truth is most books also are a little bit outdated. OpenAI has changed the game, and it needs a book of its own. You could just explore OpenAI or videos on YouTube of what people are doing with GPT, what people are doing with artificial intelligence platform, what this Figure.ai website is doing. All of those are interesting to look at and to monitor so that you would know what's going on. If you're working in the business world, and you are working in the business world, whether you like it or not, whatever you do is related to our system per se. And there is going to be a chain of the operations that is going to be very highly dependent on artificial intelligence. As long as you know that, you're ready to start working in a positive way towards change. Read, learn, test, and only then will you be able to cope. Because what you need to do is you need to collaborate with artificial intelligence platforms. You need to know how to write prompts. You need to know how the Figure.ai robot works. You need to start thinking with your creative mind rather than writing, typing fast, or using your other non-creative elements in your daily work. Only then will you be able to have a part of our upcoming future. If not, then you're going to struggle for a bit, and eventually life is going to impose this on you. You're going to find everyone around you working with Figure robots, and they're going to tell you whether you like it or not, they're going to come to fix the lawn, or they're going to come to fix your house. These are the only options that we have. Similar to how if you want to reach Facebook right now or Meta for customer support, you can't call them You have to send them, you can't even send them an email, and I believe you have to just submit a ticket online if it's possible. I don't know about Meta, but a lot of companies are in this sense. They just eradicated the old option. Don't be surprised when this exact thing happens when it comes to artificial intelligence, to a lot of the things that humans do nowadays. Be prepared, and you're not going to be surprised.